Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another horrible case with you. This is the story of an army man, and this is the story of a girl. That army man falls in love with the girl. Both fall deeply in love with each other and remain in love for 2 years. But after 2 years, their whole lives suddenly change. Jyotsna Prakash, around 30 years old, lived in Nagpur. She used to work at an automobile showroom in the city of Nagpur. She used to live in a PG with a colleague and friend. 2 years ago, while living in Nagpur, Jyotsna met a young man. Over time, their meetings turned into friendship, and eventually they fell in love. Later, she found out that the young man's name was Ajay Wankhede. Ajay Wankhede was an army man in the Indian Army. Coincidentally, he was posted in Nagaland in the pharmacy department. Since the army also has a medical division, he worked in that role. Whenever he got leave, Ajay Wankhede would come to Nagpur. Then Jyotsna and Ajay would meet whenever he came to Nagpur, and when he was in Nagaland, they would have long conversations over the phone. But suddenly, all those conversations came to an abrupt end on the night of August 28th. It was 8:30 p.m. Jyotsna was with her roommate at the PG when she got a call. The call came from Ajay Wankhede's mother's phone number. Since she was in love with Ajay and they were close lovers and friends, she also knew his mother and recognized the number. Jay was on the call and said, "Let's meet today. Let's go out for dinner." So she got ready, happy and excited, because she knew that Ajay rarely came to Nagpur. In the army, he hardly got any leave and was usually on duty. Now that he was here, he picked Jyotsna up and took her to a special place he had mentioned, a specific spot they had planned to meet at. After they got there, they spent time together. The night passed and it turned from August 28th to August 29th. But that night, Jyotsna didn't return to her PG. Now, although Jyotsna had gone out several times before, she would usually come back late at night, since she had to go to work the next morning. But when it got very late on the night of August 28th and Jyotsna still hadn't returned, her friend started to worry. She began calling Jyotsna's phone. The phone was ringing, but Jyotsna wasn't answering. She thought maybe Jyotsna wouldn't come back that night, though that had never happened before. Still, she waited. Morning came, but Jyotsna still didn't return. Her friend checked with the showroom to see if Jyotsna had gone to work, but they said she hadn't shown up. Jyotsna was very responsible and had never been absent from work before. By afternoon, it was clear that she still hadn't reached the showroom. Now her friend started getting really worried. For the first time, she called Jyotsna's family. Since both of them lived together in the PG, they had each other's emergency contact numbers. She called Jyotsna's family and explained everything that Jyotsna had gone out at 8:30 p.m. the previous night. Her phone had been ringing since then, but she wasn't answering, and today she hadn't even gone to work. Hearing this, her family rushed to Nagpur. After arriving, they went to the police station and filed a missing person report for Jyotsna, who was 30 years old. But as always, the police don't act until something major happens, so at first, they didn't take much action. So the police filed the report just for formality, saying that the girl is an adult, mature and educated. She probably went out with a friend and would come back. Even her family believed that Jyotsna would return, especially since her phone was still ringing. The police wrote the report but took no real action. 20 days passed. The incident had happened on August 28th, and now it was around September 20th. But there was still no trace of Jyotsna. Meanwhile, her family was constantly searching for her, worried sick, hoping that even if she had gone somewhere, she might at least call or send a message. But then the phone calls stopped completely. Even the ringing that used to happen stopped. That's when her family got seriously worried and went back to the police 20 days later to officially file a missing person report again. They told the officers, "Sir, you haven't done anything to find her yet." Now even the police started thinking it's been 20 days and she hasn't returned. They too began to feel that something needed to be done. Her family said, "We suspect she's been kidnapped." The police also started considering the possibility a young, educated adult woman with no trace or message. And if later this turns into a high-profile case, it could cause serious embarrassment for the department. So, under pressure, the police finally registered a kidnapping case for Yotsna 20 days later. Now they began investigating seriously. The first thing they did was check Yotsna's mobile location. They could have done this 20 days earlier too, but didn't. Now, as they started tracking it, they noticed something strange. Based on the phone's pattern of calls and locations, they found that on August 28th, the phone was in Nagpur. Then on August 29th, it showed up somewhere in Pune. On August 30th, it moved again, and over the next several days, Yotsna's phone kept showing activity in different cities and districts across Maharashtra. The cell towers were showing exactly where the phone had been and when. The police initially thought maybe she was just traveling around, but what seemed strange was, why wasn't she contacting her family? The police were confused because the phone's location kept changing, showing up in different districts and cities. But Jyotsna herself was nowhere to be found. They also checked nearby areas to see if there were any unidentified dead bodies or missing girls reported, but nothing matched. The police had no leads at all. Meanwhile, the pressure from her family kept increasing because as more days passed, the seriousness of the kidnapping case grew. And in kidnapping cases, the biggest fear is always what could have happened to the victim. If you don't rescue the person in time, then their life is at serious risk, because in kidnapping cases, keeping a person alive and held captive for a long time is the most difficult thing. Now the police checked the call details. They asked if Yotna had any enemies, any disputes, but nothing came up. Then, for the first time, the police questioned the girl who was her roommate, her PG partner. They asked her to recall what happened on August 28th. The last time Yotna was seen. She said, Yotna didn't say who she was going with. She just got a call and left after that. Now the police pulled all the call records. There were several numbers. So the police told the team to get the full details and locations for those numbers. Then they continued questioning the roommate and asked, "Tell us more about Yotna." She told them, "Sir, there's a guy Yotna was in a relationship with." When asked his name, she said it was Ajay Wankhede. He's in the Indian Army and posted in Nagaland. When the police checked the call details, they found that the last call Jyotsna received on the night of the 28th was from Ajay Wankhede's mother's number. So now, two important clues came from the friend: one, the relationship, and two, the phone call. With both of these leads in hand, the police decided to question Ajay Wankhede. But they found out that Ajay had already returned to Nagaland and had rejoined his duty. The police contacted the Indian Army unit in Nagaland where Ajay Wankhede was posted and asked about him. They were told that yes, Ajay Wankhede was there but currently admitted to the hospital. When they asked why, they were informed that he had diabetes and some other health issues, and he had been hospitalized for quite some time. The police found it strange, such a coincidence, that Jyotsna was missing, and at the same time he was in the hospital. What was the connection between the two? Still, the police insisted on questioning him. They asked the army for permission to interrogate him. The army responded that they would fully support the investigation and told the police, "Let us know what you need." The police said, "Please inform us as soon as he's discharged so our team can come." The army agreed and noted down the contact number of the Nagpur police officer handling the case. After that, the Nagpur police were just waiting for a call or update from Nagaland. Then one day a call finally came, but it was even more shocking. The hospital in Nagaland where Ajay was admitted called and said his condition wasn't good. He was admitted, but suddenly he disappeared from the hospital. He was no longer there. This seemed very strange to the Nagpur police. He knew the police wanted to question him, yet he vanished. At first, the police thought maybe he hadn't run away and would return, but that misunderstanding was quickly cleared up when 2 days later they found out that Ajay Wankhede had filed a petition for anticipatory bail in a local court, meaning he feared arrest by the police. He first filed it in the Sessions Court, but it was rejected. Then the police learned that he filed the same petition in the High Court, and it was rejected there as well. Now the police began wondering, why is he so scared? And why is he applying for anticipatory bail? Something is definitely wrong. Now the police were actively searching for him, but on top of that, his bail applications were being rejected, and that process took time. This whole incident started on August 28th. The kidnapping report was filed 20 days later, and the police only began investigating after that. The entire month of September passed, and now it was October. By this time, Wankhede had also disappeared from his army base. He had already approached both the lower court and the high court for bail. Both had denied it. Now the police were trying to track him down, hoping to finally get some answers about where Jyotsna was. And only he could reveal the truth. The police were actively searching for him when suddenly, on October 20th, Ajay Wankhede appeared in front of the Nagpur police and surrendered. He said, "Sir, you were looking for me. I thought you were going to arrest me and accuse me of all sorts of things. That's why I applied for anticipatory bail. Many people told me that the way you were searching for me, you might arrest me and file any kind of case. So I applied for bail to protect myself." But the police didn't quite buy his explanation. They then asked him, "All right, tell us, what was your relationship with Jyotsna?" So he explained his relationship with Jyotsna. He said they became friends 2 years ago, and during that time the police had already done a full background check on Ajay Wankhede. They found out he had already been married 3 times and had left all 3 wives. On Jyotsna's side, she had also been married once, but was now divorced. Ajay and Jyotsna had been together for 2 years, meeting regularly, and over time Jyotsna wanted to marry him. He shared all this with the police. Then the police asked, "Where is Jyotsna right now?" He replied, "I don't know." The police said, "On August 28th, there was a call to Jyotsna from your mother's number." He admitted, "Yes, I made the call. I asked her to meet me." They asked, "Then what happened?" He said, "We met at a hotel in Nagpur, stayed there and checked out late at night. After that, I told Jyotsna to go home, and I went to my place. I don't know anything after that." Now the police were stunned. A man who had applied for anticipatory bail twice, both times rejected, then suddenly walks in and surrenders, admits the relationship but still claims he doesn't know where Jyotsna is. And he said, "I honestly don't know." Now, the thing was, he was an army man, part of the military, not just an ordinary civilian whom you could easily arrest and interrogate harshly. If the police acted rashly, it could lead to complications, including the need for proper legal steps and clear evidence. So the police knew they had to build a strong case. Only if they had solid proof could they proceed against him. They questioned him thoroughly, but he refused to say anything more. Then the police continued their investigation. They began tracking Ajay Wankhede's phone location from August 28th onward. When they checked his location on the night of August 28th, it matched what he had said. He was indeed at a hotel in Nagpur. The nearby cell towers confirmed that. But after that, when he claimed he dropped Jyotsna home and left, that's when the lies started. It turned out, after checking the location data, that both Ajay and Jyotsna's phones were in the exact same location in the entire night. And where was that? On the outskirts of Nagpur, on a highway surrounded by forest on both sides. Now, the police were alarmed. What were the two of them doing in the middle of the forest at night? That raised serious suspicion. But beyond this location data, the police had no further clues. To get to the bottom of what really happened, they knew they had no choice. They had to dig deeper into Ajay Wankhede, regardless of the fact that he was an army man. As a normal suspect, the police had to question him, so they played it smart. They told him, "Look, your story about August 28th, is only half true. You're telling the truth up to the hotel part, that's fine. But after that, you didn't drop Jyotsna home, and she never reached home either. The fact is, both of you were together, and your last known location was on a highway outside the city, surrounded by forest. That's the last place both your phones were traced. After that, they continued, Jyotsna's phone locations start showing up in different cities over the next 2 or 3 days. Ajay responded, No, I wasn't in those cities during those days. You can check my phone if you want. So the police checked, and it was true. On August 29th and after, his phone location showed that he had returned to Nagaland and was back at his army base. When they checked with the base, it was confirmed, yes, he was there. Meanwhile, Jyotsna's phone was showing up in cities like Pune, various districts of Maharashtra, and even near the Madhya Pradesh border. But Ajay's phone was clearly showing he was in Nagaland, where he was posted. The police were puzzled the locations didn't match, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. But despite the confusion, they had no other strong suspects. The only person who might know the truth was Ajay himself, and the only way to uncover that truth was through him, because they had no physical proof or direct evidence otherwise. So the police questioned him again, using their own strategies. They told him, We now have all the evidence and it's pointing straight at you. Your court-martial is a separate matter, but under Indian law, this is either a murder case or a kidnapping case, one of the two. Eventually, after intense pressure, the army man finally broke down. He told the police, If that's how it is, then come with me. On October 21st, he took the police team with him to the outskirts of Nagpur to a highway. He stopped the car near the highway and began walking on foot with the police into the forest. After walking for a while, he looked around at a particular spot, a forested area with soil, plants, and bushes all around. There, the police noticed a small cemented patch on the ground. It looked like someone had sealed something with cement. He stopped there, pointed at it, and said, Jyotsna is under that cement. The police were still unsure. They thought maybe he was making up another story. But he kept insisting, She's under the cement. They immediately called for help, dug through the cement and soil, and found a skeleton buried underneath. Along with the skeleton, there were some personal belongings. Jyotsna's brother and family members were able to identify them right away. It was Jyotsna's body. Jyotsna was not alive. She had been murdered, and the killer had personally led the police to the place where he had buried her. The police then said, Now that you've shown us where the body is, tell us the full story, what happened before and after. That's when Ajay Wankhede confessed the whole thing. He said, We were in a relationship for 2 years, but I never wanted to marry her. But after 2 years, Jyotsna started pressuring me constantly to get married. At first, I kept avoiding it, but then she began threatening me, and that's how these situations usually go. I got frustrated. Then I decided there was only one way to get rid of her. She had even said she would complain to my senior officers in the army and accuse me of cheating on her. She was going to expose everything. That scared me. I felt the only way out was to get rid of her. Coincidentally, along with being an army man, I also watched a lot of movies. That's where I got the idea. So on August 28th, I called her and took her to a hotel. We stayed there for a while, and then I told her, Let's go for a drive. She was happy and agreed. We drove out of the city. Near a toll booth, I bought a cold drink. I had already brought a sedative. I mixed the sedative into the cold drink and gave it to Jyotsna. After we passed the toll, she slowly started losing consciousness. Then I chose a deserted spot, stopped the car on the side of the road, took her out, she was unconscious, and strangled her inside the car. Once I was sure she was dead, I carried her body on my shoulder deep into the forest. I laid her down there and went back to the car. I had already brought all the materials with me. From the car's trunk, I took out cement. I had planned everything in advance. I dug a pit deep enough to place the body inside, put her in, covered it with soil, poured cement over it, and then placed small shrubs and plants over the cement to make it look natural. He made it look like just another part of the forest. After doing all of that, he left the scene, and the next morning, he headed straight for Nagaland. As soon as he got there, he checked into a hospital, saying his health was bad, that he had been suffering from high blood sugar for 2 days. Part of it was fear and panic after committing the crime, but the real purpose was to create an alibi. He wanted that when the crime was discovered and the body found, he could show that he was in Nagaland, admitted to a hospital, and all the evidence would work in his favor. This entire plan, even the idea, came from a movie he had seen. After the murder, he kept Yotna's phone with him. Later, he went near the same toll booth where vehicles stop. He parked his car there and waited for a bit. Then he focused on the trucks, the ones that travel long distances. He knew how they worked and what kind of goods they carried. He spotted a truck with a national permit that was stopped at the toll. In the darkness of night, he quietly went to the back of the truck, put Yotna's phone on silent mode, and threw it inside the truck. Wherever the truck traveled, the phone's location would go too. That was the plan. He did it to confuse the police. So it would look like Yotna was still alive. Meanwhile, the killer was nowhere near those places. He was safely in Nagaland, lying in a hospital bed. With that kind of setup, no evidence could directly point back to him. That mobile phone traveling around inside the truck completely misled the police. The phone's location kept showing up in different places, which made it seem like Yotna was still alive and on the move. And it was confusion and the carelessness in early investigation that delayed the case. The crime happened on August 28th, and the case was finally cracked on October 20th, nearly 2 months later. The army man has now been arrested and is in police custody. The police are interrogating him and also trying to recover Yotna's mobile phone, which could become a crucial piece of evidence in the case. And once again, this case shows what is often seen in the world of crime, or even in our everyday world, that to commit a crime, it only takes a person. It doesn't matter whether that person is a policeman, a soldier, or belongs to any other profession. Because even someone in uniform has a heart, emotions, blood running through their veins just like anyone else. That's why predicting when, where, or by whom a crime will be committed is one of the hardest things in the world. So with that, the Jyotsna Prakash comes to an end right here. If you appreciate our efforts, like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Thank you.